It was raining so hard that day. It felt like the sky was trying to wash the whole city clean, and maybe I needed that too. I remember staring down at that check, my hands shaking, my hoodie still soaked through, and all I could think was how the hell did I end up here, surrounded by people cheering my name, when just the night before I was curled up under an overpass trying to stay dry with a newspaper and a prayer. Name's Devon 17, homeless, and pretty much invisible to the world until I met her. For 8 months and some change, I drifted through the alleys of Fairview, this big OL Midwestern city with gleaming glass towers and shadows deep enough to disappear into. You learn real fast how to read people, who's going to give you a buck, who's going to call the cops, and who's going to pretend you ain't even there. I got kicked out after my mom passed from lung cancer, left me with a worn-out backpack, a passion for the stars, and an aunt who looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're not my problem." I made a little space in the back of a condemned laundromat my home, couple cardboard sheets, a bent chair, and a blanket that still smelled faintly like my mom's perfume. The streets don't wait for anyone, though. You keep moving or you get swallowed up. I spent most of my days ducking cops, reading whatever I could at the public library, and figuring out which diners tossed out food that wasn't completely ruined. I wasn't a criminal, just surviving. Anyway, that day, I was cutting through an alley near 52nd, trying to dodge the worst of the storm, when I heard something that didn't belong. This soft, scared little voice almost drowned out by the thunder crying. I followed it, careful-like, and there she was, this tiny girl, maybe 7 or 8, huddled next to a dumpster, shivering under a busted raincoat. But the thing that got me, the thing that made my chest feel tight, was her eyes. They weren't looking at anything, just staring straight ahead, like she was watching something only she could see. Then she said, "Who's there?" and started waving her hands in the air like she was feeling for something that wasn't there. I told her my name, kept my voice calm, soft, like I was trying not to scare a bird off a wire. Her name was Lily, and she was blind, lost, asthmatic, too. I spotted the medical bracelet and her broken white cane beside her, and I swear every red flag in my brain went off. Black teen, white girl, rich uniform, alone in an alley. That situation could go sideways fast. But I couldn't leave her. Not in that weather. Not shaking like that. I gave her my only hoodie, and she flinched like I was going to hurt her. Asked me dead serious if I was one of those people her stepmom warned her about. I wanted to be mad, but she was just repeating what she'd heard. I told her no, that I just wanted to get her home. She said she lived in Willow Grove, a gated suburb across the city, a good 10 miles away. Might as well have said Mars. I tried to flag down help. A lady at a bus stop took one look at us and pulled out her phone. "Where'd you steal that child from?" she barked, already dialing 911. The bus driver wouldn't let us on either, looked at my raggedy clothes and Lily's uniform, and said, "Not today." I was scared out of my mind. Not for me, I was used to being treated like trash, but for her. She was coughing bad, her lips starting to go pale. So I knelt down, told her to hop on. "Piggyback," she whispered. I said, "All the way to Willow Grove if I have to." And we went. Through flooded streets, under bridges, cutting across parks and rail tracks. She leaned her head against my back and asked me to tell her about the stars. So I did. Orion, Ursa Major, the Pleiades. Told her how light from those stars has traveled millions of years just to reach us, just like truth. Sometimes it takes a while, but it gets there. We made it to the edge of Willow Grove right as night fell. Clean sidewalks, shiny Range Rovers, security cameras watching us like we were bugs on a windshield. A guard stopped us at the gate. His hand drifted to his gun like it was a nervous tick. "Where'd you get her?" he said. Same question. Always the same damn question. Lily woke up enough to speak, told him her address, described the fountain in front of her house by its sound. The guard looked surprised, but not enough to let us through. Said we had to go around to the main entrance, that he'd radio ahead. Yeah, he radioed, all right, not for help, but for muscle. 10 minutes later, a black SUV rolls up, Two security guys jump out, guns drawn. "Put the girl down," one of them yells. Lily starts crying, clings to me, and I didn't know what to do. I lowered her gently, tried to explain. But before I could even finish the sentence, one of them shoved me to the ground and zip-tied my hands. I could still hear her screaming my name. They took us both to her house, a mansion that looked like it came straight out of a magazine. Marble floors, chandeliers, a staircase that could host a wedding. I sat there, dripping and shivering, while doctors fussed over her in another room. I heard her calling for me. "Where's Devin? I want Devin." Then this man, her father, Carson Monroe, tech billionaire, storms in with his wife behind him, all Botox and bone. She stared me down like I was a cockroach. "Is this the kidnapper?" she said, like I wasn't even there. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just looked her husband in the eye and said, "Ask your daughter what happened." He didn't. Not then. They sent me to a guest house under guard. Gave me clean clothes and a hot meal like that could erase the cuffs or the looks or the way that security guy pressed my face into the ground. I barely slept. I was sure I'd wake up in a cell. And I did. Next morning. Police showed up, smug detective, snide lawyer. Told me I was being arrested for kidnapping. They said there was footage of me following Lily in the park before she vanished. I told them I never even saw a park. But they didn't care. I was a street kid. No parents. No address. Easy scapegoat. What I didn't know, what they didn't know, was that Lily. She was no one's puppet. Even sick in bed, she kept asking to see me. When her dad finally let her record a message, she told the whole story in her own words again and again. But the real twist came when she asked him to check the recording app on her phone. Turns out, 2 days before, it had picked up a little conversation between her stepmom and their head of security. Yeah, they'd doctored the footage. Edited it to make it look like I was stalking Lily. Her stepmom wanted me locked up so I couldn't scam the family, and from the sound of it, she didn't exactly mind the idea of Lily getting hurt either, what with inheritance clauses and all. Carson heard it. He finally saw it. The next thing I knew, he was standing up in court next to his daughter and her biological mom who, by the way, wasn't dead after all, but living under a new identity after an accident. Yeah, wild, I know. Lily took the stand. Told everyone how I found her. Carried her. Protected her. Told her about the stars. She said, if he'd been following me in the park, I would have known. I know people by their voices. And I didn't know his. Not until that alley. Even the judge got quiet. Charges dropped. Record cleared. Reporters swarmed. And through it all, I kept asking myself how different would this story have been if Lily couldn't talk? If she'd been too sick to remember? If I'd walked away that night? A few weeks later, Carson offered me a check, $1 million. I didn't take it. Not at first. I told him I didn't want hush money. He asked me, what do you want then? I told him I wanted things to change. For kids like me. For kids who fall through the cracks, who get judged before they get heard. That's how the Northlight Foundation started. We opened a community center last year, science programs, housing support, legal aid, and I'm now studying astrophysics on a full scholarship. And Lily? She comes to all my astronomy classes. Still can't see the stars, but she swears she hears them better than any of us. She gave me this pendant little platinum North Star. Told me it was so I'd never forget that even when the sky's full of clouds, truth is still out there. Still shining. So what would you have done if you were me? Would you have helped her, knowing how it could all blow back in your face? I'm not saying I was a hero. I was just a kid with a choice: walk away or carry her home. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment, tell me where you stand on this. What would you have done? What does justice mean to you? And hey, if you made it this far, maybe share this with someone who thinks the world can't change. Because sometimes, it just takes one person carrying the weight to bring someone else home.